All right, hey everyone, Mark P. Markets here. Thanks for joining me for another live stream here that I'm simulcasting onto TradingView. Hold on, my sound is a little loud. Let me just fix that real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry, hold on. Let me just adjust that a bit so it's not so loud for you. Okay, that should be better. Hey everyone. All right, thanks again for joining me. If you're new to my stream, um, what I'd like to let you know is if you have a symbol, a market, a coin, whatever you'd like to see me analyze, please share it in the chat now so that once I get to the chat, I can go through the charts you want to see. I want to try to spend as little time as possible on my analysis, and I want to try to spend more time on your questions because I know there are going to be a lot of questions today. Okay, so with that said, let's get started. This is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Let me just adjust my microphone a bit here. Hold on. Again, thank you. I appreciate everyone's patience. This technical stuff, it's a pain. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's get the chart on the screen and let's get this thing going. Again, I want to thank you all for joining me. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. There we go. All right, hey everyone. Okay, got the microphone. Cool. Sound is too low now. All right, so just let me know. Give me sound feedback. Let me fix that. Hold on. Just give me the sound feedback and I'll adjust it as I go here. But that should be better. Okay. All right, cool. So no, I just raised it a bit. Let me know if it's too loud. All right, so let's get into this. First thing I want to talk about is Bitcoin. All right, and by the way, I just want to say hello to a couple people in the chat. I see Byte Federal over on TradingView. Hey, thanks for joining me, guys. It's always nice to see you. I had a problem the week before. For some reason, TradingView kicked me off the thing, and anyway, so I know a bunch of people were looking for me and they got cut off. Anyway, and let's say hello to my other chat here. I got DJ, good to see you. Go Forth and Blue Fandango and Brian. Good to see you all. Chetan, Photo Guy, good to see you all. Thanks again for joining me. All right, so again, I'm going to get to the chat. Just give me a moment so I can talk about what's going on here in the market. Now, today is Monday, as you know, and we have to go over the economic calendar first, okay? Just very quickly, because you should know what's going on in the economic world and the scheduled world. Like the week before, we had the FOMC meeting, which was on Wednesday, and the market's been sort of a mess since then, right? Okay, so let's talk about what we have here. Earlier today, we had President Lagarde's speech for the euro. Okay, that's done. So let's go to tomorrow, which is the 22nd. Fed Chair Powell testifies. Okay, now I don't have a timestamp on that. By the way, if you have the TradingView economic calendar, you should probably use that to get the timestamps. It's, for some reason this stupid one doesn't have the timestamp. But I'm guessing that's going to be 10 a.m., perhaps 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Now, again, the guy is speaking. People are going to be looking for hints on interest rates. They changed their schedule the week before, and that's what put a wrench in the market, right? And kind of got things really out of control, especially the bond market and the US dollar. That's why we see gold where it is right now. Anyway, so just keep in mind, this guy is speaking tomorrow, and the market may, if there are any surprises, you could see a dramatic reaction, okay? Again, that's particular to like Forex and stock market and stuff like that. Also, we have the Bank of Japan monetary policy meeting minutes. Okay, that's not a big deal. German market PMI composite and their manufacturing PMI. That's on the 23rd, which again, that's usually not a major market mover. But if it's going to move anything, you're looking at the euro. The market PMI composite for the European Union, that's on the 23rd as well. Okay, then we have for the pound, market services PMI. This is all on the 23rd, all right, which is Wednesday. Retail sales for the Canadian dollar. We have President Lagarde speaks again for the ECB, and they have a European Council meeting on the 23rd. These aren't big deals, unless there are any surprises. You could get some movements perhaps in the euro and stuff like that, but these aren't major dollar moving events, and that's really all I'm looking for in the economic calendar. Okay, these aren't events that you trade. It's just you want to be aware of in case there are any surprises, right? It's about managing risk. Okay, so also on the 24th, we have Bank of Japan, Governor Kuroda speech, all right? Then on the 24th, we have the Bank of England, asset purchases facility, their vote unchanged. Okay, whatever. These are a bunch of numbers, monetary policy summary, Bank of England minutes. Wow, there's a lot of paper pushing going on over there in the pound. And then they have their interest rate decision. Okay, again, important if you're dealing with the pound, but not a big dollar moving event. Also on the 24th, GDP, annualized and durable goods orders for the U.S. If there are any inflationary hints in that information, maybe you get something. But this is not the big highlight for this week really would be Chairman Powell testifying tomorrow, because he can say something that can move markets, okay, and the dollar and stuff like that. If there are any hints or misinterpreted hints or any reactions to what he says. Okay, so let's move on to the charts here. And let's talk about the charts. By the way, that calendar I read off the screen. Again, I suggest you check out the TradingView economic calendar. All right, so by the way, TradingView people, if you have questions, now would be a good time to put them in the chat. Also, check out my article that I published yesterday on TradingView, because I made some points about order flow and that people really don't consider, especially in light of the questions that I've been getting. All right, so again, cool. I appreciate everyone's questions. Let me run through Bitcoin first real quick here. Now, a week ago, for those that were in my stream, a week ago, we were up here on Bitcoin, right? And what did I tell people? Because we had two swing trades out there, two longs. And I warned people, I said, first, there's a sell signal developing. And my warning was, if you're not willing to take the risk, which was 5,000 points, okay, because our stop was at 34.5, at least the one that I put out. If you're not willing to take that risk, this is your opportunity to take a small loss, a small profit, or just get out if you're not willing to take the risk. Now, I also emphasized that I was not going to send out any adjustment trades because I don't react. All right, I was willing to give the market a chance to produce the high or low. I was willing to take that risk. The market has not produced the high or low. Look at this candle today. Now, I'm seeing a lot of overreactive talk all over the place. Okay, a lot of overreactive talk. Here's the thing, all right, and everyone wants to know about Elliott Wave now, and they're all looking for these predictive tools to see, if they can predict where Bitcoin's going to go. You're missing the point. You can't predict where it's going to go. We have to let the market tell us where it wants to go, right? So based on what I can see right now on the chart, and by the way, I see a lot of people, they're grasping for information all over the place, and they're consuming a lot of garbage. Everything you need, all the information that you need to know is on your chart. You don't need to look anywhere else. It's on your chart. So 30K is the level. If 30K is cleared, right now we're at what? 32.5. We're not even at 30K yet. So it needs to clear 30K. That's the first thing. It needs to clear it decisively. What that means is by the close, the daily close, it's at 29K. That's a decisive close. If it's closing on that low. If it touches that low and gives us a pin bar, that's not a decisive low. That's a fake out. So that's what it needs to do if it's going to prove to us that it's going to clear 30K. So all these bears that are coming out with all their nonsense, they're just overreacting. They're either fooling themselves or they got something to sell. Okay? Now, if 30K is decisively cleared, we're looking at 26K. That's the next support. If 30K is held and we get an inside bar, we get a bullish pin bar or something, that means 30K is still in play and we can get another reversal off of that. That is a high probability reversal if we get that. We will be open to another swing trade in that situation. Now, we've been stopped out a couple of times here. This is a wave 4. I've warned about a lot of false starts. These are aggressive trades, and this structure, okay, this structure right here, a lot of people, they're arguing about trend and this and that and whatever. And, they don't really, it's very vague when people talk about trend. Often when you hear a lot of these fakes talking about trend, they're talking about like this move right here. Or maybe they're talking about, this move right here. Yeah, those are bearish movements. On a smaller time frame, they can qualify as a trend. But on the bigger picture, let me just point this out. This is not a bearish trend. This is a low, a higher low of a broader bullish trend, which is typical of a wave 4. That's what a wave 4 is. It's a corrective move in a broader, trend, which in this case is bullish, and it's got to prove itself, right? So we are at such a potential level. There's just no evidence there yet. So like I said, we want to see the reversal. We can measure our risk from 30K, which again, 3,000 or 4,000 points. You really shouldn't be risking more than that. And then we'd look for the bounce again. All right, that's what we need to see. Otherwise, if that 30K is cleared, this thing is going to have a problem. All the altcoins that follow this thing, all the garbage altcoins, like I've been warning and warning and warning. If Bitcoin clears, they're all going to clear. They're all going to break their supports, and they're going to push a lot of people out of these positions who got too big and who shouldn't have been buying back in February and March and April when all the fake gurus and all the other hypesters were pushing all this garbage about being rich overnight. Okay, so that's really the thing with Bitcoin. There is a lower high, so the lower low is within reason unless it proves otherwise. And the argument against the lower low is that bigger picture structure. We have to see if it reasserts itself. Again, this is not about predictions. This is about what the market proves or provides. It needs to tell us. We need to listen, okay? We also warned that, 50K was our max target anyway on those trades. We weren't expecting anything dramatic. Some expert, a week ago, someone had reported that some expert was calling for 80K, a target of 80K when Bitcoin was pushing here. That's what I'm talking about. Please, do yourself a favor, stop listening to these people and focus on your charts, okay? Oh, Gmanel, hey, thank you. Got 100 coins from Gmanel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's very generous. You don't need to send those to me. Thank you, though. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Now, so I'm going to get to all your altcoin questions. I saw a bunch of them. By the way, I see people that are putting like 3 or 4 coins or in one question. Here's what I'm going to do. Just to be fair to the people in the other chats and stuff, I'm going to answer one per question, and then, put after I answer that one, you can just put the other one in the chat, because I want to I'll spend 20 minutes on your question, and it's not fair to other people here, and I want to try to spend more time on more people's questions, okay? So I appreciate your understanding. All right, so I'm going to get to those again. So that's Bitcoin. Now, again, the objective of this analysis is we're trying to gather clues as to what kind of scenarios we can see as the week unfolds. That's the whole idea here, right? That's why I call it price action forecast, because we're getting a sense of what it can do so that we can adjust to the information if it does what it looks like it wants to do right now. Again, the close of the candle is a big factor here. All right, and again, right now this doesn't look so good. One thing I want to mention too, while I'm on this point with Bitcoin, been noticing a lot of questions about risk, because whenever we send out a trade, it's at usually 1% risk. I want to clarify what that means. 1% risk means you're risking 1% of the available capital in your account. So that does not include the capital that may be tied up in other positions. So if you have a $10,000 account, 5,000 of it is tied up in margin or in other positions, well, that 5,000 doesn't count, okay? Which means you're actually working with a $5,000 account when it comes to measuring your risk. So, or using that 1%. Now, so what's 1% of 5,000? That's $50. So that means you need to take a position in Bitcoin so that if it pulls back 4,000 points or 5,000 points, that equates to $50. If you think about the math, that's like 1/28th of Bitcoin. I mean, that's how small it is. And people say, well, I'm not going to make any money. But it protects you for such a small account. If you're one of those people that thinks you're going to double or triple a $2,000 or $3,000 account because some fake guru sold you that dream, well, you're fooling yourself. Because if you want to make a big, if you want to double or triple your account or whatever, you need to be able to take big risk. Okay, that's not how people make money. That's not how professionals make money. That's how gamblers make money. And the thing is, a lot of these bad habits were reinforced when people saw their friends, doubling or tripling their accounts when all these garbage altcoins went to ridiculous prices. Those are lottery tickets, and those are not the norm. You need to understand what the norm is. So, I don't sell hope, like I said. If you have a $2,000 or $3,000 account, if you can make 2 or 3%, and you can do that consistently, that's good. That's really good, because on a yearly basis, what is that? 24 to 30%, maybe 35, 50%. That's for a year. That is very good. Professionals have a hard time achieving that type of consistency. All right, anyway, just wanted to throw that in there because I've been seeing a lot of questions about that. All right, let's talk about the stock market real quick. NSX USD. Now, the stock market's been a mess, right? And here's why I say that, because we had the low trade volume going into NFP. I'm sorry, not NFP, into the FOMC meeting, okay, which was Wednesday. So that was back here. This is very important whether you trade stocks or if you trade the index itself. You really need to understand what is going on here. So, because when the mainstream news gets a hold of all this, they, again, you have to understand, it is not in their agenda to provide actionable information. They're just providing information that will attract attention. That is their goal because they sell advertising. So they're just running a business, right? They don't care if you make money or not. They don't care. And people say, oh, if they give me bad information, I'll just stop watching them. Well, people still watch them, right? It doesn't matter. And they say, oh, we're just making observations here. So my point is, they're going to hype when the market starts pushing these highs. The other day, the NASDAQ made all-time highs, okay? That was when? This was on FOMC, on the FOMC meeting day, or the day after? The day after. Went to new highs. What do you think was going on in the mainstream news? Oh, the NASDAQ made new highs today, all-time highs, and everything is great, and you should buy stocks on your Robinhood account, right? That's probably what they were saying, something along those lines. But this thing pulled right back, and now we're fooling around here again. The point is this: what is the risk of the location? That is really the only question you should be looking to answer. What is the risk of the location? If you notice, I have this blue rectangle up here. It's been up here for a long time. This location is a high-risk location for price. It's highly vulnerable to selling. Now, it doesn't mean that we're just going to sell off nicely over there. It's tried a few times, but the market doesn't sell off. What's going on here? Well, we're fighting a stimulus market, right? This is where the stimulus comes in and all the economic stuff that's going on, and we're fighting that market. And people say, so what are the buzzwords that they use? Well, sector rotation, you know, the NASDAQ and the FANG stocks and, you know, big investors are rotating their money. Yeah, rotation. Yeah, thanks a lot. So the point there is, forget all that stuff. We're in a highly vulnerable location. Can price break higher? It looks like it's poised to do that right now. So the key lesson here is this: don't have opinions. Look at the risk. I don't like stocks up here. I don't care how good they are. I don't care what the experts are saying. I don't care blah, blah, blah. I don't care. We're in a high risk area. This is not a support. This is not a support. This environment is good for day traders who are not exposed to this broader magnitude risk. As an investor or a swing trader, you're exposed to all this if it breaks. And at some point, the market will break. I mean, that's just a normal market cycle. When will that happen? I don't know. The market needs to provide proof. I will begin to be more, I guess you could say, confident with the bearish scenario when we start breaking supports. On the NASDAQ right now, that's 13.8.5. Okay, that's this level right here, this low right here, which we're not there right now. So until that level breaks, the market wants to go higher. So don't get in its way. We get a lot of questions about shorts. Don't get in its way. I'd love to short the NASDAQ. It's just you don't want to get in its way. I have to repeat that many times. Let it prove itself. Same with the S&P. So let's take a look at the S&P. Look at this thing. It pulls back hard and then reverses right back in everyone's face. This is harsh for shorts. So no opinions. This thing needs to close below with 41.37. 41.50 was an important support. I talked about it on Friday. It closed below it. So we're like, okay, cool, right? It's a short, right? Well, it's not a short if you get this candle the next day. So the lesson here is, what do you do if you short this? You know, you shorted this because it's a sell signal, blah, blah, blah. And then you get this in your face. You need to get out, take the loss, because this is not what a short should do. It should not reverse in your face this hard. I mean, this thing, the S&P is up 60 points today. That's a lot for the S&P. So this is a higher low. Again, established a higher low, fighting a stimulus market, and it looks like it wants to go for the higher high. Will it go there? It's possible over the next few days if this momentum continues. Now, Powell speaks tomorrow. I mean, I doubt he wants to ruin this party, but you never know. Again, if he does, he's not doing it on purpose. It's just things come out that way. The point is, the way the market looks right now, it looks like it's poised to go higher. If you're long stocks, that's good. You let them try to do their job. If you're not long stocks, risk is high on the swing trade time frame. You know, getting short, like I said, bad idea right now. I like the level, but there's just nothing there. There's no sell signal. The one that occurred the other day has now been erased. Okay, so it's about adjusting. All right, so let me see here. Oh, Visionary. Visionary sent me 100 coins too. Can you please take a look at Wish and, okay, sure. Thank you. All right, no problem. No problem, Visionary. I'll get to those. Thank you again for the coins. It's very generous of you. You don't have to do that. All right, so let's go over one more thing, and then I'm going to get to your questions. Let me just see how I'm doing with time. Okay, not too bad. Let me just go through gold real quickly. I tend to talk a lot. You all know how that is. And by the way, if you want to share what country you're from, I always enjoy it. It's just like a fun thing I like to do. I see people know, so a lot of these people know that, so they put the country in right away, or the city. I just think that's a cool thing. You know, I'm broadcasting from the New York City area, northern New Jersey. I'm about 15 minutes away outside of New York City. So in case you're wondering what my accent is, it's like northern New Jersey, sort of, kind of like that. And yeah, anyway, so just a fun thing for the chat. All right, so let's talk about gold real quick, because we've been getting a lot of questions about gold. Let me talk about a gold trade, because you could learn from this, right? And I've talked about this before. That trade that you could see on the chart, I sent that out about 2 weeks ago at 1899.5, and everything looked great. Okay, it looked like had the higher low to go higher and blah blah blah, and look what we got instead. Now you say, well, that sucks. You took a stop, right? But look at the stop, 1869. This thing got stopped out like the next day. All right, which was a pretty quick move. Also, our trade of the week got stopped out the next day too, or like the same day. I want to mention that too real quick. But the point is this: this thing broke, right? It broke the stop, and I always put, make sure you respect the stop loss. How much lower did this thing go from the stop loss? The stop loss was 1869. The low on gold was 1761, over 100 points. That is what a stop protects you from. Okay, so people with opinions, they gold, how much lower can gold go? I mean, gold's at a great price at 1850. Gold's at a great price at 1830. Wow, gold's at 1800. I'm going to buy some more. What's gold doing at 1760? I'm banging it out, right? And that's where like the bottom starts to put itself in. So my point is, stops save money. Respect them. Look at this, is just another example of such a situation. I'd rather take a 30-point stop than over a 100-point stop and get pushed out for emotional reasons. So now, as far as gold now, we're in a great location for gold, but you don't see us rushing into this thing. We're not in a hurry because gold needs to stabilize. The dollar got very strong on all that news, and you have this bearish momentum. It's across the board. It's across all the Forex pairs. Anything against the dollar, you see a very similar move to this. So it's a dollar move. And that was all based on that interest rate decision schedule change. Thank you, Chairman Powell. So the point is this. Okay, we have bearish momentum. Looks kind of like Bitcoin when Bitcoin pulled back, a couple of months ago or whatever. It looks very similar to that. So I bring that up because my point is this. This momentum that we see here, this bearish momentum, is still in play. A lot of people make the mistake, they jump in because they say, oh, it's a low price and it's going up, I'm going to buy it. But the bearish momentum is still in play. So you're fighting it, all right? Now, gold may find a bottom here, needs to prove itself. 1 or 2 candles is not enough after such a harsh break. So what do I want to see? I want to see a double bottom. That can take a week to develop. So as far as the rest of the week goes, what we'll be looking for in gold is maybe perhaps a little continuation of this pop higher, but then we're going to look to see where the next pullback goes. If the next pullback cannot make a lower low, we will go long, all right, with a swing trade. But again, it's got to prove itself. We have to see the setup and all that other stuff to assess our risk. At this point, all we can do is watch because we have a good location, but that's all we have. Stepping in front of this may still be too early. Keep something in mind. When you're getting into something, a lot of times you're not going to get the best price, especially when you're dealing with a previous move that kind of changes the broader movement, right? The broader movement of gold recently is this. So this bearish movement changes that a bit, and we want to make sure that there's stability. That means we forfeit the best price. The best price may be 1761. That may be the best price. By the time we get in, this thing may be back at like 1790s or maybe the low 18s. But I'd rather get in when structure is favorable. I don't care about the best price. Best price is good when really the trend and the short-term trend is more in your favor. It's more likely to work out. Okay, anyway. All right, so those are the 3 things I wanted to cover. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. All right, I want to get to your questions now. I see so many questions. And again, I got Jad, thank you. Thank you for 200 coins. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that from TradingView there. It's very generous of you. You don't have to do that. Thank you, though. Okay, very appreciate it very much. Okay, so let's go into the questions. Let me jump in here. Let me see what I got. So, all right. So again, people that asked questions from multiple symbols, I'm going to take the first symbol from your question, and then you can just re-ask the question with your second symbol, just to be fair to everyone else. All right. So I'm going to start with TradingView here since I'm simulcasting today. And I have here from Dal, can you please check next? Okay, it's a stock, I guess, Biometrics, and MGN. Okay, so I'm going to go over NEXT. Let's take a look. NEXT, and let's take what's going on here. All right, so if this is a biotech stock or relative to that, these things tend to be news driven, all right? They tend to be not highly correlated to the S&P, which is why we like them, because they'll do their own thing sometimes. Much different than an altcoin. Altcoins don't behave like this, okay? They follow Bitcoin. That's why I always argue with people about when they show me an altcoin chart, it's like, well, it doesn't really mean anything if Bitcoin doesn't agree. These things, they can do their own thing. So to answer your question about this, well, right off the bat, you know, you have this nice bullish structure here. Obviously, that's based on some kind of news. I mean, recent price action, you see the spikes all over the place. It took out that high, right, whatever, this high back here at, what, $3.41, and it's now trying to give you an outside bar, right? The outside bar printed the other day, and you're getting an inside bar today, possibly to go higher off of this higher low, which is, what is that? Price is around... Let me see, $3.80. So $3.74. You're looking at about $3.50. Okay, something like that. That also makes sense because you have a price gap in that area, and a price gap has a tendency to act as a support. So you have that going with you. If you want to take something like this as a swing trade, I mean, it is an inexpensive stock, and it still has room to fool around. If that 370 or let's round it to 350. If that breaks, you're looking at this area here, which is around 341, okay? So again, that rounds to about 350. That's your next support if you take something like this and it doesn't go. So you can define your risk right now. What are these lows here? 374. So if you're putting a stop around 360, right, and you're buying this thing now at 419, I mean, you know, you're looking at 60, maybe 70 cents of risk. You need this thing to go back to these highs, which is what, $6.13. So that the reward risk is there because you don't even need it to go to the highs to make one-to-one on that. So that's what you have to, you know, consider. If that momentum can't follow through, then you're looking at testing these lower levels again. One thing with these biotechs, though, is once the news is out of the way, price tends to go back to the garbage zone. Like, just look back here. Look at these spikes, right? Obviously, there's possibly news in those areas, okay? And then look what happens. It just turns to garbage for a long time, a few weeks, maybe a month or whatever, before something gets it going again. So you have to consider that also, right? News is an important catalyst for these things. So you have to weigh that into your equation. If you just want to give it a try and see, you know, where it goes or whatever, I mean, that's where you can define your risk from. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so let me jump over to the chat. Okay, so I see DJ. I see a question here. Go forth. Is it practical to use Elliott wave on lower time frames, like 1 hour or 4 hour, to predict wave 3, 5 moves for day trading? Okay, that's an interesting question. Let me see. Let's you know, to answer that quickly without having to go through charts. You can use Elliott wave on any time frame. It is practical, but you also need to understand that the smaller time frames are going to be much less reliable. On the wave counts, there's going to be a lot more noise. So in those situations, you definitely need to keep the counts very simple and not go overly into like every little detail, right? So if you can clearly, the way to play that game anyway is you're looking for wave 4s, right? Wave 4s going into wave 5s because they require the other 3 waves to be in place and to fit the rules in order to get to that wave 4. So that requires a lot of work from the market, right? Those are the higher probability setups. Trying to catch like a 2 to a 3, which is just basically a higher low, I mean, that could be a little trickier. You don't really need Elliott wave to do that. All right, so thank you for asking. It's a good question. Blue Fandango from Paris. Hey, thank you. Thank you for joining me from Paris. All right, let me see what else we got here. 2 questions. All right, 1, could you have a look at NVAX? Okay, there's been some good news and may have some experience and might experience another could news in autumn. Okay, I know how you feel about news-driven values. All right, so I guess that's the question. NVAX. All right, let me just take a look at NVAX real quick. That's another biotech stock. So look, similar situation. You have that recent push high. Now let's just look at some recent price history. Look at this news from back here, right? Again, news driven. I don't even have to know what the news is. News driven. When you see a big gap and it goes crazy like that, who's driving that? Those are day traders most likely. A lot of times those are day traders because the smart money's in. The smart money knows the news in advance most of the time. They're getting in when no one's paying attention. Then you have the day traders chase it. And that's your chance to get out if you're in from a good price. Now, notice what happens, right? Gives it back pretty quickly. Gives it back. So that's why buying highs, especially in these type of things, is usually a really bad idea. And why I always talk about that. So let's go to where we are now. You have this potential situation. It's coming off of this range high. The range high is at this price area here, which is what? Around 220, between 220 and 200. It's coming off of that high. Now you have a potential higher low developing. The thing is, this recent price action is not exactly the best example of a positive broader trend. I mean, you have a range here. This is a range bound situation. So buying this higher low, okay, it's a possibility, but you're buying the middle of the range. So in these situations, if you want better probability, you're better off waiting for a range support, which would be around here, 154-ish, in those 150s. That would be a range low, this area here, as opposed to a trend higher low, which it's possible that this can develop here. It's possible. You have to be willing to take that risk. What is the risk? Well, if we look at the low here, 169 is the low. So you figure a stop would go around 168, 165, and this thing is at 181 right now. So you're looking at 20 points of risk, something like that. I don't know, maybe 30 points, 25 points. And the question is, this, can this thing go to 229, which is that recent high? The reward risk has to make sense. And at that point, you do have greater than 1-to-1. You're risking about 20 points to make at least 20, and this thing can easily do that, right? From 180 to 200, that's really all you need, and 200 is not the major level. It can go slightly higher than that. So you have all that going with you there. So you have to consider if you want to take that type of risk or not. If it breaks the support and you're in it, take the stop, don't go into hope mode, and let it go back to its older supports like I talked about, the range lows. Okay, so thank you for asking about that. Let me jump over to the other chat here. I got so many questions. Again, it's tough for me to answer all these questions when I'm simulcasting, so I'll do my best. And again, I appreciate everyone's questions very, very much. All right, so I have, all right, so it was good to see Byte Federal, the guys over there. They put me on a big screen from what I heard. Chet, okay, so you put 4 symbols. I'm going to cover the first one, AAVE, USDT, and then just you could put the other ones in the chat as I go. So let me do AAVE, USDT. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so let me just give you a preview. Most of these altcoins are going to look like garbage. Why? Because they follow Bitcoin. None of that has changed. So a lot of your answers, a lot of times, like if you're not on TradingView and you're just watching a chart or something and you're wondering what to look for and you start grasping, just go to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin will give you your answers, right? Bitcoin is pulling back. This is not a surprise here. This low back here at 208, that coincides with the 30K low on Bitcoin because that's around the same date. So these altcoins, like I put in, I may have put it in my analysis yesterday on TradingView, I mentioned that when these things break these supports, the party's over, right? People are getting banged out of these things because a lot of people were hoping for these supports. Now, the support's broken. If Bitcoin clears 30K, these things are going to get hammered. And this thing right now is on its way to doing that with that red candle. Now, it may close differently, but again, if Bitcoin doesn't help you out in this, you're going to see this thing go to the possible next support, which is what? Let's see. Because you're clearing the range, which is very bearish. All right, but what does this tell me anyway? A lot of people were in hope mode, shouldn't have been in this thing. Now you're clearing the supports. A lot of these people that were long from these really bad prices are going to be banging it out because that's the natural process. And you're looking at, let's see, your next support is around here, this area here, which is, what's that price range? 189 to about 100. Is that right? No, that's not right. Okay, about 120. That makes more sense. 189 to about 120. It's this area right there. That's your next support on this thing if Bitcoin goes to like 26K. So if you're in something like this, that's the risk you're facing. That's the risk you're looking at, and you have to decide if that's acceptable or not. If it's not acceptable, one thing you can do is lighten up the position, but if you hold on with hope, you're taking a big risk. Now, what if I tell you this, and you bang it out and take a loss, and then it reverses tomorrow? You're going to be like, I got fooled by that dumb bald guy. Well, that's a possibility. But the thing is, what's worse? I mean, taking the risk and taking a huge loss, or taking a smaller loss and then having the market turn, which gives you the opportunity to get back in if you have to. All right, so the other lesson to be learned, and again, I don't know if you're in a position, but if you are, you should never listen to other people. I mean, that's usually what the primary problem is with these things. You got lured in because other people were hyping and hyping and hyping. It sounds good. You get in. A lot of people did this, and I was warning and warning and warning against it. All right, anyway, so that's the story with this thing. All right, so thank you for asking. Again, those other symbols, sushi and FFT, FTT and BNB, just put them again in the chat so I get to them. I can answer them one at a time. Okay, Gmail, from the Bay Area, right? Thanks again for your coins. I can give us a simple correlation between actual Fed interest rate hike and its possible effect on inflation, bonds, and stock market. Oh, that's interesting. Can you give? Oh, you know what? I can't see. I'm sorry. I thought like you were going to. Wow, really? I'd love to see that. All right. Anyway, okay. So can you give us a simple correlation between the actual Fed interest rate hike and its possible effect? All right. I can't really do anything with the chart. I mean, here, what I can do is we could take a look at the bond market real quick, because the bond market is really what you should be watching. All right. When it comes to all this economic stuff and all this Fed talk, this is the primary tool, the treasuries. This is what they use to actually carry out their plans, whether they actually say they're going to do it or not. So price action in the bond market can give us clues. Now, keep in mind, the simple correlation is the stronger dollar, everything that trades against the dollar will be weaker. That's stock market, that's gold, anything like gold, like wheat and corn and lumber and anything that trades against the dollar. Oil. Now, each of those things, they have their own variables, but if the dollar moves dramatically enough, they're going to feel the pain. I mean, look at gold. So the bonds give us a sense of where the dollar can go in a dramatic way. Bond prices are inverse to bond yields. So we're looking at a price chart here, the bond futures, and it's a 10-year note. If the bond prices go lower, that means yields are going higher. Now keep something in mind. One candle means nothing in the bigger picture. This is the bigger picture. As you can see, like, this is what you have to pay attention to here. Recently, right, going back a few months, the bonds were at these highs. So that means what? Low yields have been going lower and lower and lower, which is stimulus, right? Printing money. That's what the government does. They love to do that. Now you have this recent pullback and a potential lower high area developing on the bonds. So rates have gone up significantly, and they're poised to go higher if this support is taken out. The support is 131.03 on the 10-year note. And look at today's candle. That's where today's candle can come into play. It's a bearish pin bar. So if I was involved in the bond market, okay, I would be open to shorting something like that. So that means if prices are going lower, which they have to do, right? They haven't done it yet, but if they do it, yields are poised to go higher, which is a dollar strong argument. All right, so that should give you an idea of how everything else should be affected if that dollar keeps going higher. Like I said, the bonds need to make a significant move. So when the bonds start taking out these supports and start pushing lower lows, you'll see effects. And I would suspect that in that scenario, the stock market will really start to feel some pain, especially since it's fooling around all-time highs, or keeps fooling around highs and in such a vulnerable area. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, could you review QQQ? That's a good question, QQQ. All right, so instead of QQQ, actually, all right, I'll pull that one up. This is the NASDAQ 100. This is no different than NSX USD. It's just NSX gives us a little more detail. The Qs give us a little more sporadic chart because of the hours of the candle, right? The times of the time of the candle. But like I said before, and I was just talking about with that bond situation, this is a highly vulnerable area. So you're going to see a lot of positive talk. All right, a funny story, real quick. Someone had shared an article that a billionaire fund manager, David Tepper, was at a Robinhood Investor Conference. Robinhood Investor Conference. And he was sharing his views on why he's bullish oil and blah, 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 blah. And my point was, never, ever, ever listen to a guy like that giving information like that at that type of conference. I mean, a Robinhood conference, investor, who watches that? Anyway, so my point is, you're going to see a lot of similar talk, right, in these situations where the market's on its highs, looks like it's going to be great forever. Just like Bitcoin at 65K. All the people, oh, Bitcoin's going to be 100K in a couple of months. Bitcoin's going to be at 70K in a couple of days. This altcoin's doing this. Ethereum's going to be 10,000 in a month. Blah, 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 blah. No one was calling for 30K, and here we are. If you look at my analysis, I wasn't calling for 30K either. But all I was saying was it's too risky at these levels. It's the same argument for the NASDAQ. That's why I bring that up. Same argument. So I wouldn't go near this thing. If you're a day trader, different story. You want to grab some stocks that are moving around intraday and you want to get out before the day is over, no problem. You could take advantage of the movement. But if you hold on thinking, oh, the stock market's safe. Stocks are a safe investment because the news told me so. Well, you're opening up yourself to this enormous risk, which it may not play out for another month or two. All right, this is not like a day-to-day thing. This is something that can take weeks or months, right, for this thing to really start breaking and getting ugly. And when it does, you're going to see people all kinds of over-exaggerated nonsense. In those situations, just like now, keep your eyes on the levels, okay? I know I emphasize that, but your next level on the Qs is what, 323 area, right? And you have a level over here at 328. That's going to coincide with like 13.8. That's going to coincide with like 13 even on the NSX. And I talk about the NSX all the time. So, you know, it's the same thing. So thank you for asking about the Qs. All right. Gasoline and uranium. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to get to that. Those are interesting. Gasoline. I'm going to have to look up the symbol for that. All right. Let me go up to the other chat here. Again, I'm sorry if I don't get to your questions. I'm trying to just make this as efficient as possible. Oh, we have Brian from the UK. Hey, it's good to see you. 2A, look at IEA2, please. Okay, Blue. IEA. All right, let's take a look. IEA. Infrastructure and energy alternative. Oh, I think someone had brought this up. Now, this is an interesting chart. Check this out. And again, this is what I like about these community reviews, because people bring up markets that I may not be on top of, and we all get to see a possible opportunity together here. I like this. So you have a potential high or low situation relative to this broader bullish trend. That's pretty clear, right? It's been consolidating in this corrective consolidation, which is a typical pattern for a wave 4, all right, which is what you can easily count that there. I'm not going to get into the Elliott waves, but that's usually the look, something like that. And now look what's happening here. We have a test of this bottom a couple of times, right? 3 times. What is that bottom? That's 11.60. So basically around the $11, maybe 10.5. You want to give it a little room. You have this little higher low. Look at this situation, right? You have this. This is not an inside bar, but it's almost like an inside bar. More importantly, it went slightly lower than this low, which makes it a failed low. It tried to go lower and it failed. It reversed in everyone's face. And now it took out yesterday's high, and here we are, bullish candle. So that's a buy signal that is in effect. Now, the buy signal actually was at 11.62. This thing right now, I'm sorry, is that right? Let me see. Am I counting that right? 11.62, and the current price is, okay, 96, right? I can't see. Anyway, so buying this now, you're buying like 40 cents higher than where the buy price was. But that, you don't always have to buy exactly at the buy price. It's really more about the risk. as far as a swing trade goes. So your risk again will be defined from about the $10 level. You're risking about $1, almost $2, right? $1.96, about $2 of risk in this situation. The question is, can this thing make you $2? And how long will that take? Well, the recent swing high is 13.20. So that's about a dollar away. So that's not one-to-one right there. So that's not good. Where can you make $2? Let's see, where is the $2 point? You're looking at around here, okay? So that's not totally unreasonable. That's still near the lower part of the range. It's not like you needed to run all the way back up here to these highs. So it may be worthwhile, but you know, again, in this situation, you're dealing with infrastructure and energy alternatives. I guess this is an ETF, or is this a stock? Is this a company? Because this obviously is going to be affected by economic decisions, right? Infrastructure bills, that kind of nonsense. So if that stuff comes out favorable, this is a good location and your risk isn't bad if you have those factors going for you. And again, you don't have to trade on those factors. If the risk is acceptable, the chart looks right, you just take the chance if it's acceptable, right? That's really what this is all about. It's very similar to playing poker. You have to take a risk with incomplete information. People are always looking to complete that information, and you're just wasting your time because there's no way you can have complete information in the markets unless you have inside information. All right, so good question on IEA. Thank you for asking. All right, so let me jump over to the chat. Again, I appreciate everyone's questions. Gasoline. All right, let's take a look here. Gasoline. Let me see what we got here. Do I have, let's see, gasoline. What do I have here? I'm looking for a futures contract. Do I have one? Okay, THU. I'm going to look at the futures contract. THU. Let's see what this thing gives us. All right, so gas. Interesting. So gas is on its high. Is this gasoline? Yeah, gasoline futures. Nice chart. But, you know, where were we 3 months ago on this? Like, you can't touch this now. You're on the highs. You're about to break out. So here's the thing with this. It's a high-risk location. So in these situations, you can adjust your risk by perhaps taking a smaller position. That's one thing to consider. Here, let me take these things off my chart here. Again, I appreciate the coins, everyone. Thank you so much. And I want to get to them. I want to get to someone asked for some symbols there. So I want to make sure I get to that. Anyway, so the point is gasoline. If you want to be aggressive and you want to go for the breakout, you have to define your risk from this low right here, which is 57.98. If you're looking at some other instrument that's relative to gasoline, you're gonna have to apply whatever the prices are on that chart. You're gonna have to find the similarities here. But based on this chart, the chart should look similar if it's a gasoline instrument, derivative instrument, right? So 57.98, that's where you're defining your risk. This thing right now is at 60.35. You're hoping that it breaks out and that the momentum continues. How far it can go? Well, we don't have any historical price action. Not really. Let's go back. Oh, you do. Going back to 2019, there's some historical price action. Gasoline was actually higher. So look where you are. Just look at this, right? Back in 2019, gasoline was fooling around at these levels. So this is actually an extremely high risk area. Look at that. Look at those sell-offs. You better believe there are people that are watching that. So that's very risky. I wouldn't even go for the breakout in this. Seeing that, I wouldn't go for it. But again, if you want to be super aggressive, just because those levels are there doesn't guarantee that it's going to sell off, but the probability is high. So I just right off I'm not interested. Okay, but again, like I said, you can define your risk there and then see how far it goes. The goal would be to at least make 1-to-1, but I wouldn't be overly aggressive expecting 2-to-1 on something like that, especially at such a level. Okay, so that's really about adjusting your expectations. Thank you for asking. All right, so now uranium, again, just repost that in the chat because I want to try to get to other people's questions here. All right, Doji from Cadra, Dogecoin. All right, let's take a look. So again, super hyped coin. Warned people about these garbage coins, and here we are. So all the altcoins, like I said, if you're unsure of the altcoin, go to Bitcoin. It will give you your answers. This low on Dogecoin, 32 cents, this low right here, 32.94, that's equivalent to the 30K low on Bitcoin, right? So here we are, Bitcoin starting to break, and even though it hasn't broken 30K yet, these things are going right back to those supports, which is a sign of relative weakness. That's a problem. So if you're in this, I don't know what to tell you here. This looks like it's going to break. There's no buy signal. There's no reason to buy this thing right now because Bitcoin certainly doesn't agree with it. And even if Bitcoin turns, I'm not going after any altcoins. You know, I'm looking at Bitcoin, the big ones, you know, the top ones, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. That's it if Bitcoin turns. These garbage coins, I have no faith in these things at all. They were all hyped, and there's a lot of people stuck in these things now. Just like back in 2017, no one likes to remember that stuff, but a lot of those altcoins that were hyped back then, most of them were nowhere near their all-time highs on that run that we saw back in February and March. So my point is this, no reason to buy this now. If you're stuck in it, you have to decide how much risk you're willing to take. If this level is cleared, all right, that level that I just mentioned, that's equivalent to the 30K, the next support on this thing is a lot lower. I mean, you're looking at this. What is this here? What is this low? 15 cents basically. So you're looking at another 5 cents possibly, and if that's cleared, you're looking at this old consolidation low of about 5 cents, something like that. I mean, that's what the chart says where the levels are. Will it go there? I don't know. It's really going to be dependent on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin turns, all of these things will try to turn again. So you have to decide, if you're in it, how much risk you're willing to take on that. Okay, if you're not in it, step aside. Okay, so thank you for asking about that one. All right, let me see what else I got here. Okay, Po, where you're from, if you like, and one symbol per. Oh, thanks, Gmanel. Gmanel is like DJ in my other chat. DJ is like the independent fact checker. In case I start, you know, in case I spread fake news, he puts the facts out there. So Gmanel's kind of helping me out the same way here. Thank you. Okay, hey Steve, good to see you. All right, let me see here. Mustafa. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. From Montreal. Nice. Waiting for your weekly stream. Do you think we... Oh, I guess I... Man, this is like 43 minutes ago. Think we are in a bear market now? And if possible, vet. Okay, no problem. All right, good question. Are we in a bear market? Now, he's talking about Bitcoin, I'm assuming. This is not a bear market yet. I know there's going to be a lot of bears saying bear market because they don't know any better. I know. Look, a lot of these guys, when you're following someone, the first thing you should do is check to see if you could find out how long they've been doing this. If they've been doing this less than 5 years, they're a beginner. Okay, like if you're gonna present yourself as an authority, and you're going to try to help other people, like genuinely help other people, you should be doing this more than 5 years, in my opinion, because the recent couple of years it was a complacent bull market, so they don't know what a hard market is like. All right. Anyway. So again, that goes for people that are trying to present themselves as authorities, because usually they're trying to sell you something. If they're just trying to be nice and just trying to share information and they're not selling anything, okay, you can't give them a hard time. All right, now Bitcoin, are we in a bear market? No. And the reason why I say that so confidently is because, for one, this is if we can zoom out here, there's nothing bearish about this chart. Okay, all we have is, yeah, we have a pullback, we have a potential lower high. Possible higher low developing. That's not a bear market. In order for this thing to really prove that it's in a bear market, the price has to be a lot lower. So you'll say, but then if we're not in a bear market and the price goes a lot lower, then what good is it? Aren't we in a bear market if price is going to go a lot lower? Well, no, because the probability of price changing between here and that proof level is high. The proof level that I'm talking about is around 20K to 15K. If we clear those prices, which I think is a low probability, but anything can happen, you must always have an open mind, then I would say, okay, Bitcoin is likely in a bear market at that point. And it's like, man, this thing went from 30K to 15K and now he calls it a bear market? Well, yeah, and the reason for that is anywhere between here and that 20K level, it can reverse. The structure can change. When I say reverse, I'm not talking about like a one candle reversal. I'm talking about seeing a couple of weeks or a couple of months of stability develop, or a consolidation and a failure of new lows, right? You're gonna have all kinds of bears calling all kinds of shorts, and Bitcoin's going to 10K and Bitcoin's going to 5K and all that other nonsense. But you can't make those predictions. The market, because for one, things change. And there may be some news that's coming that we don't know about that will change the structure, right, over time. Just like back here, what took place back here in this situation? Elon Musk was talking about, well, he opened his mouth about not taking Bitcoin for Tesla and blah, 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 and he changed the structure of Bitcoin. The structure was short-term bullish. It changed from bullish to potentially range-bound. I don't call it bearish because trends don't change so quickly on the bigger picture. So anyway, that's my answer to that. So I look at this more of a range-bound environment or a wave 4, which is typically a corrective consolidation. I'm going to bring up the example real quick. I bring this up like a lot. If you look at gold, bigger picture, right? This doesn't count right here. Forget that. Look at this. This situation on gold from the August peak to the March low, that's a wave 4 corrective consolidation. Is that a bear market? No, that's not a bear market. As you can see, the market came back hard on people that thought that that was a bear market. Now they come out, oh, gold's in a bear market again. No, it's just telling us that it's possibly still in the wave 4. That's what it's telling us, okay? Unless it can do something else, that's what it's possibly telling us. So anyway, all right, so I hope that answers your question. Oh, VET, you want to see VET. All right, I'll do VET because VET is a coin that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in. Same situation, like I said before, all these altcoins are gonna look the same. A lot of people are stuck in hope mode because they believe too many people, right? Stop listening to people, start listening to price. Not you, but in general, start listening to price. This thing broke its supports, just like the other one we looked at. Broke its supports. Looks like Bitcoin. If Bitcoin clears 30K, this thing is most likely going to go for the next supports. Where are the supports on VeChain? You're looking at 0.8, so basically 8.5 cents. That's not too far from there. That's one. The next support would be here, which is around 0.3, so about 3.5 cents. That's a significant pullback. Again, that would probably equate to a Bitcoin at 26K or possibly in the low 20s if it does that. Now keep in mind, these things do not lead. So even though it looks bad right now, like all the altcoins, they're just following the leader. If the leader reverses, as bad as these look, they will reverse because they don't trade on their own. All right, so just something to keep in mind. Again, when you have a question and you have no one available of the proper expertise to answer that question, just look to Bitcoin and it will give you the answers. All right, so thank you for asking about VeChain. Okay, so let me see what else I hear. Oh, hello, Hawaii. Got a guy from Hawaii. Thank you for joining from Hawaii. I'm sure the weather's nice over there. All right, Kuala Lumpur. That's a new one. That's a new one, Jude. I haven't heard from Kuala Lumpur. Thanks for joining. Very interesting. I always love to see. That's why I ask about the country question, because I always love to see how far around the globe TradingView actually reaches. It's very interesting. Okay, anyway, and I always complain, like, I get guys from like the furthest reaches, but then no one from New York watches me. But then 2 guys popped up not too long ago from New York, so that's nice. Okay, anyway, let me see what else we got here. Cheatin. Okay, so I went over here. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat. Man, that was like an hour ago. I really apologize. I'm just trying to catch up here. Let's hope. Okay. Okay. Let's travel. Come on, guys. Let's. Oh, I appreciate the likes. Thank you for the likes. Let me see what else. From Latvia. Hey, welcome. Hey, Mexico. Mexico. Mucho gusto. Nice to see you. All right. Let's see. Zelta. Oh, they're speaking in I think Romanian. All right, I don't know how to speak Romanian. Okay, cool. Alex, hey, good to see you. Photo, too low now on volume. So Photo guy is talking about volume. I think he's talking about Bitcoin. Well, the volume, look, the Bitcoin's been very tricky, right, as far as the way this move occurred, because, it's so slow. It's relatively slow compared to other markets. So it leaves a lot of people guessing a lot all the time. Back here, I want to just point something out since he mentioned that, this pin bar developed, right? And that was a potential long. In fact, I think Andrew sent out a long and everyone got stopped out of it. But the point is, like, it's slow. And that's why it's so important to especially wait for market closes, even though the market may look really hot at the moment. You can't react to information. I wrote a whole article about that on TradingView. Anyway, so thanks for mentioning. Let me see what else we have here. Near, can we adjust it? Okay, talk about the sound. All right, cool. Let me just, I'm just looking for the next symbol question here. Okay, no problem. Travel, okay. All right. Oh, they're talking about other stuff. Always check your articles on TradingView. Oh, cool, cool. Okay, appreciate that. Hey, Kevin. All right, Abraham. How does futures close contracts are? That's an interesting question. Futures close contracts. Now, I'm assuming. Are you talking about the like the Nasdaq or the S&P, or are you talking about are you talking about Bitcoin futures? Either way, some people like to look at the futures close like on Friday, and depending on how it closes and then where Bitcoin is by Sunday or Monday, there's usually a gap of some kind that the price then needs to fill. I don't go by that. Just, you know what? Stick to your regular levels, because people will come out with, like, they'll see a coincidence of some kind and they'll say, oh, the futures close said this and then it did this and blah blah blah. There's a lot of randomness, a lot of random patterns and behaviors and stuff, so not very reliable. Just go by the levels, right? So again, with Bitcoin, the level was 41K, right? We talked about it. It was, price had to clear that level and it couldn't clear the level. So here we are back basically fooling around with 30K, which is the next level. We were looking for a higher low around 34, 35. Market won't deliver. Okay, that's it. It's that simple. Okay, so really keep your focus on the levels. Let me see what else we have here. Okay, so let me jump to the other chat. I got some forex pairs. Wow, no one ever asks about forex. I guess there's some interest in forex again, huh? So when I had my TradingView stream problem, I actually streamed at night, and I had all the Aussie people. I had all the Pacific Rim people in the chat, and they were all asking me about forex pairs, which I thought was funny. So here's the euro against the dollar. Looks similar to gold. It's a relationship with the U.S. dollar. So we have this outside bar developing on the euro. Is this a long for the euro? There's actually some support levels here. But here's the thing. This is a very aggressive long because of this bearish structure. So now if you want to take this aggressive long, right, it's the same story as gold. Why we're not taking the gold long. But the low here is 1847, 118.47. That's where you would have to define your risk from. This thing is basically at, what is this thing, about 80 pips higher right now. So you're looking at 80 to 100 pips of risk, and you're hoping for a nice sharp reversal. It may not occur, especially if the dollar resumes its bullish momentum, which, there's a lot behind that, right? So that's why you can't get caught up in this stuff. Unless, again, it's like a day trade or something. It's a different story. But I would hold off and wait for this thing to stabilize more. I'd like to see a higher low develop or a double bottom. That's what I'd prefer to see, which means we have to give up these good prices. Yeah, these are great prices for a long euro, but not after this bearish momentum. Forex or anything that trades like against the dollar like this thing, momentum tends to stay intact a lot of times, okay? And you have a lot of momentum here. It takes a lot of money to move these things. So I would wait for some stability in that. So thank you for asking, but I definitely like the general area for a long if it can prove itself, which may take a few days or longer. So that's the euro. Dollar Canadian from Todd. Dollar Canadian, USD CAD. So now we're talking about the dollar. Look at this, inverse of the euro. So the broader trend on the dollar Canadian, as you can see, has been bearish, okay? Which means what? The dollar, relative to the Canadian, has been more bearish than not. And then we have this sharp move out of nowhere. Thank you again from Chairman Powell for the interest rate change, the hike change that he put in there. So it's reversing right now. It's just pulling back after this sharp move, right? Inverse to the euro. So I'd be looking for supports here for a higher low, for a long. Now, this thing can't go higher and the euro go higher at the same time because, again, they're both against the dollar. So it's one or the other. You can't do both. Now, this is a sharp move on the dollar, very sharp move. And the likelihood of a higher low developing after such an initial move is high. So that's what I'd be looking for. Now, this candle alone can't do anything with this except potentially short it because this right at the moment is a potential lower high, right? And within a trend that hasn't changed yet. So you have that potential. Just keep in mind what you're facing, the changes that you could be facing. If this thing takes out the low, what is that, 23.53? You have a sell signal. But the high of that candle is what, 24.86? You're looking at like 120 pips of risk. If this thing turns right back around and goes higher, you're going to get stopped out. If this thing pulls back and the dollar goes back into that more of that bearish movement, which it's been in for a while, if it can do that, you're looking at supports here at like 21.79. So there's a lot of potential in these things. You just have to pick one and see which one goes. Now, if we go back to that bond chart, the bonds favor a stronger dollar. So that's something you have to keep in mind. This may actually pull back a bit and give you the higher low. So if you bring the bonds into the equation, this thing is probably a better possibility for a long on a higher low pullback, okay? Just to keep in mind, the short at this point would be extremely aggressive. So when I use those words, aggressive and conservative, that really it relates to expectations that you should have. An aggressive trade means you should have smaller expectations for it, okay? Smaller price targets and all that stuff. While conservative, you can afford to have larger expectations. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me see where I am here with my time, because, you know, I talk a lot. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. All right, I want to move along here. So thank you for asking about dollar Canadian. Let me see what else we have here. Oh, from Iran. Hey, thank you for joining. Very nice to see you. Croatia, nice. I love to see all these different countries. Okay, we got a question here from Belgium. Oh, hey, welcome from Belgium. Could you have a look at NEO? NEO, N-E-O-U-S-D, the coin. Like, here we go. Do these coins, does this not look like Dogecoin? Does this not look like AVAX or the other one that I looked at before? Does it not look like them? They all look the same. They all have this lower high situation. Just like Bitcoin couldn't break 41K, they're all going for those supports. If Bitcoin breaks that support, you will have your answer here. The level here on this thing is 35.82. Again, these altcoins, like I've been talking about, they don't have much to offer and they're not regulated. You know, people can argue and say, but they're like gold. You know, you don't regulate gold. Gold is a piece of gold. How do you know, they don't come out with an income statement and blah, blah, blah. But there is a regulatory agency that regulates gold and silver and all those futures. There is actually regulations for them in case people try to do funny things with the supply of gold and silver and all that stuff. Same goes for these, except there's no regulation. So the developers, who benefits from all this? The developers who have tons of coins that they probably dumped on everyone. I would love to see the wallets of the developers. I don't know if they make that information available. Anyway, so the point is this. You break that support, this thing is probably going to test lower prices. What prices are within range or within reason over the next few days? 35.25. Where is this thing right now? 36.75. That's not too far away. The next support after that, you're looking at this area right here. 23.86, possibly those low 20s. That will coincide with a Bitcoin move to 26K, possibly 20K. Now, many of these altcoins may be relatively weak, which means Bitcoin may move, you know, a few thousand points, and these things may move in a more exaggerated way because they're weaker, which means, you know, Bitcoin moves a little, these things move a lot, right? They outperform it on the bearish side. So something to keep in mind with these. If you're in this, I don't know what to tell you because it doesn't look good right now and there's no buy signal. You have to decide how much more risk you want to take or if you want to cut your exposure. I can't tell you what to do there. If you're not in any of these things, this is not the time. If you notice, I don't talk about buying inventory on any of these, right? Now, because usually when we see lows getting, you know, pushing lows, that's usually an attractive place for inventory, but not on these. You know, Bitcoin, yeah. Ethereum, yeah, because those are leaders. You know, if this, you know, gold, if you want to take some inventory on gold, it's usually not a good strategy with the gold itself. You're usually better off with the mining stocks. But the point is, yeah, inventory is about smaller size, not really the price. But you do that with quality assets. This is not a quality asset. Most of the altcoins are not, okay? Anyone that's made money on these is a lottery ticket. Anyway, all right, before I go on that 3-hour rant, let me continue here. So thank you for asking. Let me jump over to the other chat here. What do I have here? For the visionary. Okay, I got to get the visionary ask for those things, and and he gave 100 coins. I'm going to do that. Let me just get into. Let me just answer my other chat here real quick. Let me see what I got here. So okay, Michael. Hey, oh, Michael from Poland. Hey, thank you for joining. Can you look at PII and AMD? Okay, so. Michael, here, what I'll do is I'll look at PII first. I'll try to squeeze in AMD. You know, I know you asked for that about that earlier in the chat, but I'm trying to do one at a time. Polaris. All right, so this is an inventory trade that was talked about a long time ago. This thing's in good shape right now. All right, I mean, as far as you have a higher low over here at 123, right? Yeah, 123 area, or yeah, 125, this low here. That's good. The broader trend is still intact. This is still intact. Now look at the current price action now. It's trying to take out this potential lower high at 134.73. And it's followed by, there's this little mini higher low situation right now. Okay, that's developed over the previous few days. This is good if you're long. If you want to add, this would not be a bad place to add. Take another small bite to add to your inventory to watch this thing go higher. Now, I just finished talking about before how the stock market is in a vulnerable position. If this thing is not highly correlated, I don't think Polaris is a highly correlated stock. I believe they make the recreational vehicles or whatever. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what they do. This thing may have its own variables that it moves on. So the structure looks good here. And this thing, you know, as far as inventory goes, I'd be looking for this high to be taken out and for this thing to work its way back up to the 145 area over the next month or so. If the variables can keep it going. If the stock market pulls back hard, I don't know how this thing will behave. If it's not highly correlated, maybe it'll just consolidate or something. But a lot of times, even low correlation stocks, if there's a big pullback, I'm talking like, you know, 15, 20% on the NASDAQ or something like that, which could take, it could take like a month or more for something like that to occur. Most stocks are usually affected in some way. All right, just something to keep in mind. But so far, so good with this thing, okay, as far as inventory goes. All right, so I'm going to see if I can jump back to AMD. Let me see here. I have Topolina from Italy. Hey, welcome. Buongiorno, as they say. Quick question. Both the NASDAQ and S&P continue to make higher highs and higher lows, okay? Why are you still bearish? That's a good question. I'm not bearish. So NSX USD, I'm not bearish. I'm cautious because this is a highly vulnerable area. The stock chart is bullish. I mean, there's nothing bearish about this chart. It's higher lows and higher highs. But why do I talk about shorting it and this and that? Well, the short side is aggressive because, you know, there's no reason to be short these things, no technical reason, but the location, like Bitcoin at 65K. No one was bearish up there. All right, I was cautious, and I'm cautious here for the same reasons. I don't buy into the blind optimism or any other type of hype that they all push out in the sector rotation, all other nonsense. A high is a high. This is not a support. So don't mistake that for being bearish. I'm just cautious. Bearish, you know, this thing would have to break a lot of supports. On a pullback, I'd like to go long, but I'd like to go long at a significant support, not these ridiculous vulnerable resistance areas. So I hope that answers your question. That's a good question. People may mistake my aggressive bearish idea for being bearish overall, and I'm not. So thank you for asking. In fact, I don't really carry any opinions. I just go with the market, you know, and I see aggressive trades here and there, so I may be interested in counter trend, which is what that is, but I don't really carry long-term opinions. So thank you for asking. Let me see here. Savi from Brooklyn. Hey, I got a guy from Brooklyn. They don't talk like that anymore in Brooklyn. But at one time, they used to talk like that all the time. Okay, anyway. So Savi from Brooklyn, New York. Litecoin, support and resistance. Let's take a look. All right, my New Yorker. He's not watching Kramer. He's watching me. I appreciate that. All right, let's take a look. So Litecoin. Litecoin is a copy of Bitcoin. As we know, it's doing the same things. 145 took out that support. That's not equivalent to the 30K. The 30K equivalent is 117. Where is this thing right now? At 134. Not too far away. Again, Bitcoin has to clear that 30K for these things to start pushing those supports. Otherwise, what you will see here, because it's still generally in a supportive area, although it looks ugly, if Bitcoin can turn, these things will turn. Right? So I would be anticipating an inside bar, a bullish pin bar, something in the area here, if Bitcoin can do a similar thing. Just like this pin bar back here. Very similar to this. Look at this back here. See that? That's what I'd be looking for if Bitcoin does that, right? Because they all copy. If Bitcoin breaks, these are all breaking. So you have to decide, again, just like those other coins, just like AVAX, just like Dogecoin, just like you know, the other ones that other people brought up here. you have to decide how much more risk you want to take if you're stuck in something like this. All right, sometimes, again, it doesn't mean you have to get rid of the whole position if you're in something, but perhaps one possibility is lightening up. You know, so if you have, let's just say you have 100 coins, maybe you get rid of 30 coins. Yeah, it's a loss, but you're reducing your exposure. In case, what if Litecoin goes back to 100? What if Litecoin goes back to 50? You know, you have to keep that scenario in the mind. There's no way we can know if it will do that. But if Bitcoin goes to 20K, what if this thing goes to 50? It was at 50 not too long ago, right before it went to 400 and got everyone in at the high. So just something to keep in mind there. These are not prices to be buying yet. I mean, like I just talked about with inventory, this is a higher quality coin relative to the other ones. So if you're interested in that inventory game, okay, you want to take some small bites near a major support or a small bite, okay, I'll give Litecoin that, but that's about it. Small bite is like small, meaning if you only have, you know, $1,000 to allocate, you buy $50 worth, and that's it, right? Because if it goes to $50, you still have all that other money that you can still allocate. All right, we've talked about that many times. Anyway, so thank you for asking about Litecoin. Let me jump to my other chat here. Oh, I got to wrap this up soon. Hold on. You know, I talk too much. You know, I really talk too much. All right, so let me see what else I got here. All right, so that was the Neo question. Oh, so Visionary, Wish, and CRSR. All right, Wish. All right, so here's Wish. Contextologic is the name of the company, so I guess it's the stock, right? Here's the story. It's changing this bearish momentum situation, lower highs and lower lows. You have a higher low that's in place, and look at today's candle. So that's all good. Now, buying this on today's candle, though, you're chasing it, right? Because you're going right into this resistance right here. It may break out, so you have to decide how you want to deal with that. The thing is, it's not very expensive. You're talking about a $13.50 stock. Your risk can be defined at around $9.95, so you figure $9.50. So you're looking at about $4 of risk if you chase this now. You can compensate for that by maybe putting on a smaller than usual position if you're thinking about something like that. But what you need is momentum to continue. You have the higher low, it should go for the higher high. But if it fails up in this area, then you're possibly looking at a range, and it may test that $10 area again, which will give you a better opportunity, a higher probability opportunity at a better price, or maybe even tests the range low. So that's what you're dealing with here. But overall, it's showing signs of change, because something that's going to stay in this bearish structure should respect resistance levels, not challenge them like this, right? You shouldn't get a nice strong close into the resistance level. So that's definitely a change taking place. If you want to be more conservative with this, you could wait for the breakout and then look for the next higher low. You're not going to get the best price, but at least the structure is going with you. All right, so thank you for asking. Oh, and also he gave me 100 coins. I should do CRSR also. I mean, the guy, you know, was generous there. So all right, so CRSR. This is the gaming one. People have been asking about this, right? Now, this is very interesting because the other day I had some questions about this situation, right? It was going nuts and people were saying, hey, it's the next AMC. Not quite. Look at this. So this is a hype stock, obviously. When it spikes like that, I mean, you're looking at like GameStop type of price action there. I would stay away from this right now. You're right back inside the consolidation. Right, so I could see why you might look at this. You have a bullish pin bar. So the high of that pin bar getting taken out tomorrow would be a buy signal, but this is the problem. You face this bearish momentum. You better believe there are a lot of longs that are probably stuck in this thing because they bought on the hype and they'd be so happy to get out and for you to take it off their hands, right? So you're dealing with that, which is possible to see a lower high develop after such a move. So I would leave this thing alone unless it can produce the pop, right? And then give you a higher low after the pop. That's what I'd wait for, something like that. Otherwise, you're basically back inside the range in something that, I mean, bigger picture, we zoom out here. I mean, that trend, it's been trying to break out of the consolidation. I mean, that's what you have. A broad higher low consolidation. Look at this. And you're near those supports. But you might as well wait to see if it tests the extreme at around $29, $30. I mean, this thing's at $31.92. Okay, that's not too bad. But what is this here? 31. What's this low over here? 29. Yeah, so you figure maybe the high 20s would be a nice extreme place to be putting some on if you can get a reversal there, because that's the lowest point of the higher low consolidation, right? So I'd look for something like that. Otherwise, you know, you could be playing with a tough mover when I see these kind of spikes in that day trade type of pattern there, that price action. All right, so thank you for asking about that. Good question. All right, so again, the point is it might be better to wait for the higher low. Otherwise, you could just go for the aggressive trade here and see how it goes. You can at least, the risk is pretty tight. You can keep your risk defined at around $29. All right, so thank you for asking about those two. And again, thank you for the coins. I appreciate that very much. All right, let me see what else we have here. So, Dal, can you please look at next? Okay, so I got next. I looked at next. Was this from early? How long ago was that, man? Jeez. MGN. All right, so let me just move on. I want to answer some more questions here. So Magnora, just ask that, if you can just ask that one again in the chat. I want to just try to answer one at a time. Hello from Texas. Hey, Texas. Sens and SPY. Okay, so I went over the S&P earlier in the stream. We can, once I complete the stream here on TradingView, you can go back to the beginning of it. I know it may take a little time to process, but I went over the S&P. And all the stuff I talked about, the NASDAQ, I mean, the S&P is very similar. SENS. Let me talk about that stock here for a moment. I'm familiar with it. This stock was one I was watching for a while because it was one of those high percentage, low float stocks at one time. Now, the float has changed, but look at this, right? That's your typical, that's the type of reaction you get when something has a high percentage short. That's what I mean, high percentage short in a low float stock. A lot of it was short. So now it's pulling back. Because you have that variable in there, the larger short float, and it's a low float stock to begin with, it has potential to move. At this point, there's nothing to do. You have this bearish candle, there's no buy signal in there, but you have a potential higher low after this attempt to break out. Okay, so that's a good start. I would look for the higher low to develop around this area, which is around $3.20. You need to see an inside bar, a bullish pin bar that you could measure your risk from, and then you can start measuring your targets from about 4.5. All right, so you need to get at least 1-to-1 on this situation. If this thing can't produce a support anytime soon, you're looking at this area here, 2.25, where this gap is. A lot of times when you see gaps on a chart, that area can behave or has a tendency to act like a support or a resistance. In this case, a support. So just keep an eye on those levels. But I like the possible idea, but let me just show you something here. We could have made this argument a couple of days ago and said, look, higher low developing, blah, 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 took out the previous high, buy signal, and now look where it is. So that's why if you had taken something like that and your stop was defined by 3.25, you have to respect the stop, take the loss, and if you get another buy signal, you try it again. Respecting those stops saves a lot of money, like I pointed out in gold much earlier. So thank you for asking. All right, let me see what else I got here. I got a guy from New Jersey. Hey, welcome, New Jersey guy. All right, cool. We're in the same state. Nice, nice. And then look, right after, I got a guy from Tehran. I mean, that's what I'm talking about with TradingView. Amazing. All right, hey, Turkey. Nice. Welcome from Turkey. Lithuania. Got a guy from Lithuania. Cool. Very nice to see you. Kindly check Kusama. What is Kusama? Is that, what's the symbol on that? Let's see. I'm going to type it in. Let me see if I get, is that a coin? I guess it's a coin. Okay. So if you're sharing, if you want to see a coin, just make sure you put USD after. This is Kusama against Tether. And look, same situation as Bitcoin. How many times have I repeated this, right? Same situation as Bitcoin. Get your answers from Bitcoin. If Bitcoin takes out 30K, you're looking at taking out 251 area, which is the coincident level here, right? These lows right here. And if this thing, you know, if Bitcoin can hold, then I'd be looking for this thing to hold. All of these altcoins are at support. They're at the major support, like with Bitcoin. Bitcoin needs to reverse. If it can't, these things are going nowhere. So that's why it doesn't make any sense to step into these things now. It doesn't make any sense to buy inventory since most of them are garbage to begin with. They're not high quality investable assets. And the other thing is, if you're in it, you should, this is a point where you can consider lightening up your exposure if that's a concern, or if you want to give it a try and hope for the best, Hope is usually not the best choice, though. It's not the best alternative because the market doesn't care about your feelings. So just something to keep in mind there, right? Watch Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin can hold, you'll get your buy signal here with all the altcoins. Like I said, if the buy signal develops, I'm not going to waste my time with these altcoins for swing trades. Straight to Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin. It's all the same trade. It's all the same trade. Now, let me see what else we got here. Hello from the Ukraine. Nice. Very nice. Welcome from the Ukraine. Okay. Okay, Bitcoin. Going back to 40K tomorrow? Probably not. I mean, so I'm not one of those hypesters. I don't sell hope. I don't sell dreams. I don't sell the sizzle on the steak. I give you the raw meat and you have to cook it yourself, right? So at this point, Bitcoin, if we close like this on Bitcoin, that's a bearish close. I'd expect the next candle to be bearish because we have the lower high in place. It depends on the close. Now, I could be wrong. We may not get follow through. 30K is a pretty heavy level. There's been plenty of buying activity there previously. That buying activity may return. Like I wrote in my TradingView article, we cannot see what is going on inside this candle. There may be buying activity absorbing coins right now, but we can't tell that from this. We can't see the real order book. We can't see the big buyers, who owns those accounts, how much money is in those accounts, and where all of their orders are. We can't see any of that. We also can't see what their intentions are, where they plan to buy more, right? So because of that, I can only go by what the market is showing, and right now that is a bearish candle. The potential for the area is high potential for buyers to step in, but will they? Only the market can answer that question. So we cleared 30K, this thing's going lower. If we get a reversal candle in this area, then I'm looking for the long. Back to 40K, I wouldn't expect it in one day. It is the range high, the small time frame range high, so it could occur during the week. It's possible. So anyway, all right, thank you for asking. Let me see what else. What's going on here at my stream? I got kicked off of TradingView. Okay, why did I get kicked off of TradingView? Hold on, I got to wrap this up. Maybe TradingView is trying to let me know. Time to go. They're like, yeah, we don't want to hear you anymore. Hold on, what's going on here with TradingView? I got completely kicked off of TradingView. Okay, hold on. All right, I just restarted my TradingView. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to send me a message. They could have just sent me a private message or something like, hey, you know, stop broadcasting. Anyway, all right, so let me see what else I got here. My other one's fine. Yeah, it's just TradingView. Strange. Okay. I'm going to let that run. Okay. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here in a couple of minutes anyway. So I don't know what's going on there with TradingView, but I can't see my stream anymore, so I don't know if I'm streaming. Let me know, guys, if I'm still streaming on there. You could just maybe put a message in the chat. Let me know if I'm still on. Okay. Anyway. All right. So let's go back to the other one here. I answer a couple more questions, and I'm going to wrap it up. All right. So let's see what we got. All right. So I answered that question. Seems like a lot of wasted time for waiting for stocks to pull back. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Hey, you know what? I mean, as long as I'm not in any positions and I'm not losing any money, I'm not wasting any time. I'm not losing anything. I'm just waiting for the market to align to my variables or my rules. If the market doesn't want to align to my variables, I don't have to play. It's that simple, right? So I'm not wasting any time. It's like, you know, the market either works with me or it doesn't work with me, right? And I don't have to, I choose when I take risk. Oh, I'm still good. Okay, cool. Yeah, TradingView is completely throwing me off over here. All right, cool. So let me see what else we got here. Okay, so the scammer, 20K soon, then 22. Right, that's funny, okay. Schwartz, appreciate that, Schwartz, thank you. Nita, you recommend buying RBLX at this level. All right, let's take a look. RBLX. Roblox. Oh, okay, this one got beat up recently. All right, so here's the thing. As far as a swing trade goes, not a bad location. Here's what I like about it. You broke out of this consolidation back here. You're revisiting the range high, 83.39. So it's not a bad level. Not only that, but you have this little double bottom situation. See, again, this is what I like about the community. People looking at different things. 79.88 is one low and 78.59 is the other low. And today's candle is a nice bullish candle. That is not bad, okay? That would actually qualify for a swing trade long. If you look at the low at 78.59, you define your risk from there. So you're looking at, what is this thing right now? 82.48. You're looking at about, what was that low again? So about $4 or $5 of risk. Can this thing run $4 or $5 within a reasonable area? Yeah, it can. So your reward risk, again, I'm always looking for at minimum 1-to-1. That's the first thing I check for. What is the structure around 1-to-1? That's the middle of the range. That's acceptable, okay? Because it can get there within reason, as opposed to hoping that this thing can get to new highs, right? Which the reward risk, that the expectations are out of line there, right? So you have a higher low. In theory, it should go to the higher high, but you don't have to sit in all that and hope for the best. You can get out earlier and at least justify your risk. So yes, I like Roblox for a swing trade. I mean, Andrew may even mention something like that for inventory as well. I know there's been a lot of talk with Roblox, but yeah, definitely for a swing trade, I would agree with that one. Okay, so thank you. Now, notice all these charts that we looked at here. We looked at dozens of charts, right? Or maybe at least a dozen. There's only one, Roblox, which looks the best out of all of them. One chart. So notice that, right? That's typical. You're going to look through dozens of charts to find a decent quality opportunity. So people that have like all these trades on, most of the time they're just reacting to stuff and they're taking low quality setups or low quality situations. All right, let me see what else I got here. All right, let me see. So Davi, Brazil, welcome, obrigado. That's all I could say in Brazilian or Portuguese. The scammer, time to short all those garbage coins. Well, scammer, the thing is, the argument with the garbage coins is if Bitcoin turns, I mean, the risk on the garbage coins is the same as Bitcoin. If Bitcoin turns, the garbage coins are going to bounce too. So I wouldn't short them. I mean, we don't short Bitcoin anyway, or we don't short the coins. But yeah, I wouldn't short them on lows. But I can understand why you'd say that. Romania, Romania loves me. That's nice. I got some Romanian friends. That's cool. That's cool because I don't know anyone in Romania, but now I do. All right, let me see what else here. Philippines. This is my Philippines guy. Cool. Welcome, Maurice from Philippines. Let me see what else I got. QuantumScape, QS. All right, Quantum. We used to talk about this one a lot, and it got beat up real bad. This was with all the the electric vehicle stocks and all that other hype. Remember all that? Okay. Well, let's take a look at this thing now. So the general structure. Now look at this. Right. This is a great example of getting caught in like hype. Look at this beautiful bullish structure. And then look what happens after. I mean, this has been for months and months and months. It failed to give us the higher low. It broke those supports and now it's just doing nothing. So here's what I have to say about this. If this stock does have any quality, this is a good time to pick up some shares for inventory because it's on no one's radar. It's being hated right now. Right? This is an example of a hated stock. It's in a tight consolidation near lows. Looks like complete garbage. Great for inventory. Again, but these are those high potential, you know, those motor vehicle, those, I keep calling it motor vehicle, electric vehicle type of plays or whatever it is that they do that are relative to that space. Maybe it's clean energy. I forget exactly what they do, but it doesn't matter. The point is, you know, it's out of play right now. It's out of flavor. This is a good time to pick up inventory for that reason. But inventory is not the same game as a swing trade. So swing trade, there's nothing there at the moment. All right, you have a potential higher low. It tried to take out this lower high, so it's starting to change, but it's not really in play. So in this situation, for swing trades, you want to see it clear 32.25. It needs to start doing something, okay? It needs to start doing something. Otherwise, you're just playing with something that's out of play, which can take a while for it to get going. I'd rather forfeit the better prices and get momentum going, okay? So thank you for asking. Hey, Julio from London, welcome from Julio from London. Okay, dollar up, okay. So, well, if dollar keeps, Shubham, if dollar keeps pushing higher, it will put pressure on gold. So that's why we're waiting for gold stability before we do stuff with gold, the CFD itself. Also, the gold miners, for inventory, hey, this is a good time to pick up some inventory on the gold miners because of all that uncertainty. But again, we may have a situation where if the dollar thing keeps going, we're going to see some pain in gold, which is, it's hard to believe, but you have to be prepared for something like that, okay? That's why it's not good to have opinions. But I definitely see the potential opportunity in gold if things can get if it can get its act together there. And the dollar is going to have to change its tune, which means the Fed is going to have to stop with this interest rate hike idea. Happy from Kazakhstan, welcome. All right, okay, cool, no problem, Mikhail. All right, let me jump over here to the chat because I got to wrap this up here. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here in just a couple of minutes. Again, I appreciate everyone's great questions. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. Just please join me for the next chat, the next stream that I do, and you can ask again there. Let me see what else I got here. All right, so this is the people telling me I'm still on. Okay, cool. I'm just going back to the chat. I know I'm a little slow with these chats. Can you look into okay, so I got a question for Polkadot. Hold on, let me just go back here. Let me go back. Hello from Parsippany. Wow, that's really close. Parsippany, New Jersey. Welcome. Welcome, Karth. Cool. I didn't know anyone from New Jersey. You're like the second guy. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. From Parsippany. That's very cool. It's like around the block practically. Serbia. Then we go to Serbia. Hey, welcome. All right, let me see. I'm just looking back at the answers here. Okay. Bitcoin, I went over that. Okay. Greetings from Nigeria. Do you offer trade signals? I can't answer that question because I'm on TradingView. Let me see here. Okay, no. What is the best time frame for day trading? 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 30 second, 1 hour? That's going to depend on your strategy, but it could be anywhere from 3 minutes to 15 minutes. I mean, 1 minute is possible, but you really need to have a lot of experience to get through the noise. Very noisy. 30 second, forget it. Don't even, I mean, it's extremely noisy. And the problem with the noise is it will stimulate reaction. Okay, it's very hard to get around that. So when you look back at older charts, after the fact charts, wow, that 30 second called it first, and I could have made it, but it doesn't matter when you're in it, and when you get caught in a noisy situation, believe me, you'll lose a lot of money. All right, so let me see. Okay, I'm just trying to get back on these questions here. Wow, I was really behind. All right, so I got Dwight from New Jersey. Hey, welcome. Oh, that was from before. Okay, here we are. I'm caught up now. Lithuania. I checked Kusama. I got the Ukraine. Okay, here we go. Which chart indicator is the most accurate for entry? None of them. There is no chart indicator that offers any accuracy. They are all backward looking. If you want any type of tool that can provide some sort of value, a simple trend line will give you more value than any other oscillator or any type of derivative tool or thing on the bottom of your chart. They're just a gimmick. They're gimmicks. They have their place, but people that push them and people that talk a lot about them, they don't offer any value, any true advantage. If they offered an advantage, they wouldn't offer them on the platform, especially for free. Okay, let me see. All right, catching up here, catching up. All altcoins, most altcoins, I would say, are going to follow Bitcoin. So it's like one big Bitcoin trade. All right, so I answered the time frame question. All right, Bitcoin, I went over that earlier. Okay, Bitcoin, what is it doing? Went over it earlier. Welcome from Croatia. Iran, welcome. Hello from Arkansas. Hey, Arkansas. Cool. I was going to say something political, but I'm not going to say it. All right, thanks for your... Okay, no problem. New Zealand. Nice. Wow, New Zealand. It's got to be like midnight over there. What are you, nuts? You're watching me in New Zealand? All right. Or it's got to be like 3 a.m. over there. Okay, here's a Parsippany guy. I'm just catching up to the chat. There's long-term... Okay, no, I don't do long-term predictions. All right, that's people that do are just fooling themselves. But I'm looking for clues. The whole point of this is looking for clues in the price action to see what potential scenarios we're looking at over the next few days, maybe potential week, for swing trades. I mean, that's the primary focus. From Iran, Shambolex. Okay, I guess you're speaking in Farsi. I guess that is. Well, welcome. All right, cool. All right, so let me see. I'm just looking for what are those symbols. ETH is not related to BTC. Yes, it is. Ethereum is a follower. It is a follower. My question is, how related is Ethereum to Bitcoin? Like, can they be? They're not the opposite. No, no. So one can't. If Bitcoin is bearish, most likely Ethereum will follow. Now there are occasions when you may see some variation, but most of the time, I mean, look, I'll pull up Ethereum. Most of the time, look at the chart. I mean, it looks just like Bitcoin. Looks exactly like it. There are times when you get some hype. You get some people in a chat room, they start hyping it, or they hype some garbage altcoin, and you see some green action in there, and you're like, wow, yeah, it's doing something. But it's just nonsense. It's just noise. Bitcoin, this looks just like it. So Bitcoin is the leader. And most altcoins, I don't say all, because again, you may have one that comes out that has some ridiculous thing going on and it does its own thing, but those are very rare. So it's safe to assume that most follow. And Ethereum and Litecoin are definitely followers. They're just smaller versions of Bitcoin, in my opinion, in terms of price action. So again, thank you for asking. All right, let me see. I'm just going to answer one more. I got to wrap this up. I apologize again. I just like to talk a lot. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. Let me just see. NVIDIA, it seems correlated with crypto mining. Well, no, it's just Bitcoin. It's all Bitcoin. I think 2-hour chat. I've been here for 2 hours. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. All right, so I'm going to do NVIDIA, and I'm going to do one from the other chat, and I'm going to wrap it up. So NVIDIA is a semiconductor, NVDA, and it's basically, it's not part of the FANG complex, but it's a leader in the semiconductor area. So, AMD, that whole crew, Intel, the Taiwan Semiconductor, all those are, they're all in the same game here. So this thing has recently been going crazy, right? If you're long this, I hope you've taken money off the table. Now, the reason why I say that is you may say, well, why? Bullish trend, yes, there's no question that's a bullish trend. Bullish pin bar today. But the problem is the location, all right? The location, you're on the highs. This is definitely not a low, and you have a bearish pin bar from the other day. And there's a sell signal in play. Now, while this may try to recover, this thing could develop a double top. This thing could develop a failed high. And with the vulnerability of the NASDAQ and the S&P, I have no trust in these things at these levels. Again, like I answered that question before, I'm not bearish. I just don't like to buy highs and take all that risk. So if you're going to get involved in this thing, at least wait for a support, and that's at 646, around 650. This thing is at almost 740 right now. So this thing has a lot of room to pull back, all right? And just like it can come out of nowhere. People don't see it coming, and next thing you know, this thing is at, 100 points lower or whatever. Oh, I don't understand. The experts weren't calling for that. Right, but buying highs is always a bad idea. It's just a bad habit. Who buys the highs? The herd buys the highs. People who don't know any better buy the highs. People who react or listen to others buy the highs because it's human nature. It looks good. But the reality is the risk is something we can't see. The risk is very high because all the people that have bought, and especially the smart money, because smart money is what moves these things. The smart money has been long from the lows because they know, for one, they have the deep pockets. They can build inventory. They know how to play that game. They've been playing the game a long time. They unload to the retail traders who buy at the highs. So you're just taking the risk off their hands, right? So that's the reason why, yes, the stock is strong. Like that guy was telling me before, the NASDAQ is strong. Why am I so bearish on it? I'm not bearish. I'm cautious. I don't buy highs. I don't like to take the risk off of the smart money. I don't like to take their risk. All right, this is high risk. I like low risk. I like higher probability. That's not at these levels. That's at support levels in a bullish trend. We're not at support levels. Like I said, the first support is at 650 area. Okay, so I hope that helps. Thank you for asking. All right, one more, and then I got to wrap it up. I'm just trying, I started a little bit behind today, so I'm just trying to maybe answer a little bit more than I can. Let me see what I have. I answered QS. I see a question here from Daniel or Danielle. Daniel, can you please discuss day trading techniques on the 1 and 5 minute chart on BTC while you're there? Okay, and Wedge, hello Mark. Okay, no problem. Let me see, another Jersey, oh, where? Elizabeth. Wow, that's really close. I can't read your name there. It's like in Cyrillic. But, wow, that's like really close. I'm getting all the Jersey people. I'm so happy. Okay, cool. All right, so let me see what I have. I'm going to answer that day trading question. And then let me see what else I got here. All right. I'll do the guy from Elizabeth. Well, hold on. Can you please take a look at the SPXU? All right. Is that related to the S&P? All right, we'll take a look in a second. All right, let me just answer that day trading question real quick. On the 1 and 5 minute chart, for Bitcoin, you could go between for one, I wouldn't do a 1 minute on Bitcoin. Hold on, I'll show you real quick. Hold on, BTC, USD. You want to see a 1 minute chart? Oh, that's a 1 month. Hold on, 1 minute. So the noise in this thing is going to be very high, right? So if I pull this up, you can't really, you have to, the whole idea with something like this is you have to have your expectations adjusted. You can't sit there and think you're going to make 3,000 or 4,000 points off of a 1 minute chart, but a couple of hundred points is within reason. So these are the levels you're playing with. The problem with a 1 minute or 5 minute chart is things change real fast, and because we're in a broad support area, it's very possible that all these resistance levels that you see, like, oh yeah, it's a short right there, oh yeah, right, okay, yeah, cool, I'll short it there, blah blah blah, yeah, right, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll short it here, right. The thing is, when the bigger picture reasserts itself, all these levels will be cleared like they're nothing because they don't carry much weight. So that's really what I could say about that. I can't spend a lot of time with that, but that's just to give you an idea. It's really a function of expectations. You have to adjust them, and you have to keep your risk very tight. On a 1 minute chart, you're looking at maybe 100 points, 150 points, something like that. The same goes for, a 5 minute chart, maybe slightly more risk, maybe 300 points. Your reward is going to have to be at least 1 to 1, possibly 2 to 1 on something like that, okay? But the problem with these things is when you have a nice trend, it works out okay. When you don't have a nice trend and you just get caught in all the noise, you lose a lot of money because you're still there sitting there looking for trends because you're in trend mode, and the thing just, gets you in, knocks you out, gets you in, knocks you out, gets you in, and you lose a lot more money than you usually make. On top of that, there's costs. That's the other thing with day trading, the cost of the trade, depending on what platform you're on. So thank you for asking about that. Okay, there was a question, SPXU. Let me just do that. What is this? ProShares Ultra Short. Okay, so this is a good question. I'm glad you mentioned this. This is kind of like UVXY and SQQQ. So it will benefit from the short side. It's an instrument that allows you to go long. And if the market pulls back, you'll make money in this thing, right? And it's usually leveraged. I would stay, these things are very like gambling instruments. We took a few positions like an SQQQ. We tried a few of these things. Every position I took with the SQQQ lost money. There were some times where it may have been worth money with the options. The worst thing, don't take the options. If you're going to do it outright, okay, the ETF outright or whatever, but you can't, here with these charts, this is a derivative chart. You still get this, it's a bearish trend. You just short it. It's a derivative chart. It's a derivative of the S&P. So you have to use the S&P as your guide for something like this. And right now, there's no sell signal on the S&P, which means you shouldn't buy this thing right now. When the sell signal develops on the S&P and you want to take a chance and you don't want to short the S&P outright, this is a good choice, the ETF outright. Okay, so thank you for asking about that. That's a good question. All right, and let me just one more from TradingView, and then I'm going to wrap this up because, again, I talk way too much and I'm way over my limit here. All right, so manipulation. Tell us about manipulation. Do you want me to go on a rant? Well, so manipulation, not sure how to answer that question. So there are many ways to manipulate these markets, right? But regulation is going to play a big role in how manipulated a market can get. In the Bitcoin world, manipulation is very easy. All you need is Elon Musk to come out and make a comment, and he can manipulate the herd very easily. Also, a lot of other big players in the game, they know they could move the herd around with talk because there's no oversight. No one could stop them from saying things if it puts them in a better position than anyone else, right? Elon Musk, I'm sure he knows that. But like in the stock market, there's manipulation all the time, but it's within legal means, meaning look at the situation with like GameStop and all those, right? We had the reverse of what usually takes place. The retail trader managed to group together and squeeze out institutional traders from their short positions. That is manipulation. That type of manipulation occurs all the time. Just it's usually the institutional trader doing it to the retail trader, which is perfectly fine, right? There's nothing against that. But when the retail trader gathers up as a group and they do it because they find a short float stock that's highly shorted, and they all pile in and buy it and squeeze out these big guys. Big guys go to the lawmakers and they say, oh, you can't do that. That's illegal. So anyway, that's my little rant on manipulation. Manipulation is part of the market process in that way. You need to shake out weak hands, right? You're buying something near a low, you shake out weak hands. Is that really manipulation? And you buy those coins from those weak hands because they reacted and shouldn't have bought at a higher price. And now the price goes higher. Now people are shorting it. Now they get squeezed out. They got to buy it. And now you sell it back to them. Is that manipulation? Well, that's the process. Now, if you speed up the process with talk or other information to motivate people, well, I guess you can call that manipulation. So again, it's a function of the oversight and how far that can go. In the Bitcoin world, there's no oversight. So just to give you an idea of how easy it is to manipulate and talk these things around if you're a big name. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I really appreciate everyone. I had so many questions, and I'm sorry I can't answer them all. I got to go. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone, on TradingView for all the coins and everything else. If I missed your question, I apologize. Please come back to another stream and ask again, and I'll be happy to answer it. I think it worked out good answering one thing at a time. I think I was able to answer more questions, and that's what I try to do. I do stream multiple times a week, so you could try to find me somewhere else. So I'll leave you with this. Again, with Bitcoin, let this thing tell you what it wants to do, and then adjust from there. Don't make that reactive mistake as everyone makes. They react to information. Read that article that I wrote on TradingView about reacting and letting the market provide information, all right? Because that's really what we do. The market speaks and we listen, and then we adjust. That doesn't always mean you make money. This game is actually not about making money. It's about managing risk. Everyone wants to make money, right? Sure, I understand. Where's the money? But this game really is about managing risk and knowing where your risks are and choosing if you're willing to assume those risks or not, even if the market goes your way. All right, so I'm going to leave you with that thought. Again, thank you very, very much for listening. All my people from Jersey and all these other places, again, thank you so much. And I will do this again next week on TradingView and on here. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the day wherever you are in the world. Thank you for watching.